You're listening to Around Comics. 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 Comics.
You are listening to Around Comics episode 413, believe it or not. I'm Brian Salazar. With me, as always, is Christopher Niesman and Tom Caters. And you're in store for... that was like... I didn't even mean to rhyme. You're in store for fun. I don't know.
Your head is huge.
My head is huge. I have to do something with my camera. I have to move it back or something. I don't know.
Hey, question on the intro. Who is the guy like throwing horns at that? Who is that?
You don't know who that is?
No.
Oh, that's our biggest fan. That's I don't know. That's stock imagery. That's nobody. It was just I saw that it was just.
I thought it was Gordo.
It kind of looks like Gordo, doesn't it?
It kind of looks like Gordo, and
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
dude, you should check out the intro. Get a picture of you, and he's like, yeah,
You
not
have
me.
a prominent part.
No, it's just it was an image I saw, and I'm like, you know what? I like that image for the opening. It's just sort of like Around Comics Rocks. I thought it fit the theme, and I figured. But thanks for busting me on that, Chris. You know, I don't know.
Well, it's just I was actually texting with Gordo.
Oh,
and mentioned he's like, yeah, that's not me. And I was like, oh, I thought that was an old picture of you. I'm like,
No.
well, you sound like a dick now.
No, the rest of the pictures are all ours from years past. It's a lot of old pictures from recordings and shows and conventions and all that stuff. But that guy was, I think that's the only one that is not an actual Around Comics. It's just I felt like it had the vibe of Around Comics.
There's a picture of us in my old dining room in my apartment in Lincoln Square.
Oh yeah,
before I lived with Marta.
I was
and
about.
We've been married for 15 years.
It was a long time ago. Yeah, there's a bunch of old pictures. I don't have any newer pictures of us really.
There's pictures of me with hair.
Yeah, you with hair. Me with about 40 more pounds on me.
Yeah.
It's young Tom, very young Tom. No children Tom. He was carefree and.
I could spend 24 hours in a comic shop.
Yeah.
Did that.
No problem.
I did that. Yeah.
And did it.
Nowadays, fuck no.
we can barely get you for an hour a week.
Yeah, no, 0% chance that's happening.
Yeah,
I just want to reiterate the fact that entire time that I was driving into the city doing a podcast on a weekly basis, I had two small children that probably suffered or scarred because of it.
Yeah, they felt neglected, probably.
They were happy.
But there's content to be made.
That's right.
Someone's got to go make the content.
Listen, they can. When I'm dead, they can listen to hours and hours and hours of me if they missed me. You know,
Sal, I have bad news for you. That's never gonna happen.
They can listen. They can listen to like a comic book news roundup from like 20 years ago.
Top of the stack. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, well, I don't know. I thought about it though. Like, on some level, it would be kind of cool if I had literally hundreds of recordings of my dad talking with his friends about his hobby. Like at this point, I mean, my dad's been gone since I was 23. If I had that, I would listen to those, just to kind of get him. I mean, I'm sure there'd be things but in my 50s.
Let's be honest. There's more than enough hours and hours and hours of each of us talking recorded that you can give it to like an AI machine to like have us say anything.
Just face swap and we could just have conversations.
I mean, there's so much. Yeah, there's so much of our voices.
That's a good premise.
It's like a Black Mirror.
Idea.
That's a Black Mirror premise, right?
Yeah, there's a comic book or a fucked up TV show based on that of like after the apocalypse, the only way that they could save humanity was to collect create an AI consciousness from podcasts.
Well, I think there was an actual I think there was a Black Mirror episode where the idea was was kind of that, like you died and then they created an AI of you from all of your social media stuff. And but the weird thing was, is like the AI didn't quite realize that it was an AI. It thought it was you. You know, you thought you were just like stuck in this. Yeah, I think that was I'm pretty sure that was a Black Mirror. Yeah. Creepy shit. What would Joe Galuzik wants to know what would an AI say about curling? This is
who's
dumb.
AI?
Yeah. Alan
my
Iverson.
My AI and Sal's AI are going to give you two very different answers. Hey, speaking of Joe G and other folks that chime in, you may be getting this as an audio podcast or watching on some sort of feed. But yeah, you can join the conversation as we are recording this. What's the best way to do that, Sal?
Well, you can join us live on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitch, I think even. Wow. But yeah, any of those, and Twitter, and also we're on Twitter as well. So any of those streaming platforms, we go live usually every Thursday night around 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, so you can watch us talk. If you're really bored on a Thursday night,
you can see what background of Sal's basement we're on this week.
Yeah, you can see Apollo back there. See Apollo. He's peeking over my shoulder. Yeah. He's peeking over
I need to see these guys' voices. They sound like the three hottest dudes. I need to see exactly what they look like.
Did you ever have that when you were younger, like a radio, DJ, or like a college radio DJ, something, and you hear the voice and it'd be like some sultry chick, and then you see her and whoa,
no. Yeah. No, I mean,
definitely
not
what I expected. Or a guy.
Yeah.
Could be,
it could be man or a woman.
An ugly guy. Could be an ugly guy as well, and not just an ugly woman.
There's a joke about that in the movie Airheads, starring Brendan Fraser, Steve Buscemi.
Lone Rangers, brother. Woo!
Yeah.
Did you guys see? I think Jamal Igle actually tweeted a poster. I don't know who made the poster, but it was a fake Riot Fest poster of all fake bands for movies, and like the Lone Rangers were on there, and it was really cool poster. I'm like, oh, I don't want to look who made it because I want to buy that. I would want to have it because it was pretty funny. But if you just at first glance, it just looked like all the rest of the Riot Fest posters, so it was pretty cool.
Nice.
Phil
Hartman, he did have a great radio voice. But we're not here to talk about radio voices. We're here to talk about comics, and I think there's one that we read this week that I'm really excited to hear Tom's take on.
That would be
Rogues.
I thought it was going to be Wonder Woman.
Yeah, Rogues. By Black Label, one of the most Black Label. It
was very Black Label
books.
No, what does that mean? I don't. You guys said that earlier in our pre-show kind of talk.
It's like we got to get the Rogues back together for one last heist. Like it's a very yeah, I don't know. It just
they're gonna drop F-bombs. It's a little bit darker than the DC main line.
Yeah.
And fucked up stuff is gonna happen.
Before we get into the book, I thought maybe you guys were talking about because they were older, and it was funny because earlier in the week,
that's true. It's like old Captain Cold.
Yeah, Tim Seeley, he started a thread on Twitter, and he said something along the lines of, aging superhero characters is the Oscar bait of comics. It's like if you just make them old, then you're going to get awards and that kind of stuff, and people don't give a shit about comics where they're just normal, or if they're younger or something like that. And he kind of went on a rant about it a little bit, and I'm like, well, yeah, I don't disagree, but I like it. I like when comic book characters get old.
I think Wastelanders is some of the coolest shit that Marvel has done in years.
Oh.
It's out of, and there's several Marvel books I like, but there's nothing I enjoy more than that little pocket Wastelanders universe that they've put together.
So, all right,
old guys.
This was old rogues. So you got
old rogues,
all the
busted
old
rogues,
Flash rogues, right?
Yeah, a bunch of them.
Is Flash
Not all of them?
Are those the original rogues? Like in comics, are they the original rogues gallery?
A lot of them are. Like Mirror Master,
Captain Cold. No, Mirror Master is not the original one. The original Mirror Master died.
Well, I know he died.
On Infinite.
But the character Mirror Master has been around since like the Infantino days, right?
Yeah. Yep. It's the same Heat Wave. Magenta, I think, was more recent. Is I want to say like maybe in the William Messner Loeb stuff, and then Bronze Tiger. They just threw Bronze Tiger in there.
Yeah.
And diversity.
Trickster.
All these rogues are white. Guys.
Like, oh shit.
They've been doing that with Bronze Tiger a few times lately. It's like he just ends up on Suicide Squad? Has he been on Suicide Squad?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was like in the back. Yeah, he's been.
Is he an Ostrander for a long time? I think he's a John Ostrander character.
No, he's from before that. I think like the Suicide Squad version is the one that's like the sort of definitive,
Okay.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he's like
Denny O'Neil.
Sure he's like he's like a kung fu age,
Richard Dragon, Kung Fu Fighter, May 1975, created by Denny O'Neil and Jim Barry.
Nice. He was in that cool Batman animated that was riffing on all of like the Bruce Lee movies.
The Heart of the Dragon, something like that. Soul of the Dragon, something like that. That was a cool animated film.
It was fun.
He's been played by Michael J. White, Billy Brown, Gary Anthony Sturgis, and Delbert Hunt.
Delbert
Hunt.
The art in this book is gorgeous. By Leo Max.
I want to start with the fucking cover.
It's cover.
A gorgeous cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it made me.
Sam Wolf Connolly. Yeah, I mean, the art. It's not a terribly like complicated concept. It's like the rogues 10 years after they've something the heist they tried to do went wrong. Some of the rogues died. They sort of got all split up, and now Captain Cold is just like a dude who works at like a factory somewhere, and then he's decided to get the rogues back together for one last job. You get that big payday they've been talking about. He's been thinking about it for 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah. Won't spoil where they're going to go do this. But yeah, I mean, to me, like the art is like the true star of the story of like,
it's gorgeous.
It's really cool looking and just really like, it kind of reminds me a little bit of, like, it captures some of the vibe of like, I always loved like the Scott Collins Flash stuff, but this is even like one level up from that. I think like just in like mood and like use of color and just like storytelling, and it's a Black Label, so it gets to be as fucking long as it wants, right? And like gets to stretch out. And my favorite sequence was the one with Heat Wave is just like torching a place and just standing there like watching it,
Yeah, that was an LOL moment. It's like, I'll do it.
He's just a professional arsonist. Trickster has had tons of plastic surgery and is now like sort of like a David Blaine, like close magic, like huckster, and that's what he is. And Golden Glider's become a social worker, and a couple of the rogues died. Bronze Tiger got tossed in for whatever reason. Magenta is a drug addict. Kind of cover all your bases. Heat Wave is just torching places for money. Still very into
pleasure,
fire,
or both.
Yeah, business and pleasure when they can meet together.
Who was the gorilla in the bar at the beginning?
Oh, from Angel and the Ape.
Oh, okay. I'm a sucker for like any kind of villain bar scene in a comic book.
Yeah.
Like, just I could just read 10 pages of that, you know, just a gorilla drowning his sorrow in a beer in a you know, a villain packed bar.
And Silver Banshee is in the background, you know, just
Yeah,
randomly.
Yeah.
A fight breaks out. Yeah, I mean that was a really cool scene, just with like all the villains that you get. I'm looking. You got some Rainbow Raiders in there. You got yeah, it's great. It's just
Well, the
really
Condiment
funny.
King is the bartender.
Condiment King, yes, yeah, which is pretty rad.
I didn't even catch that.
Who is the clock? Is it Clock Man? I don't know.
Clock King.
Clock King. Okay.
Yeah.
What? Everybody.
The Killer Crocossance is still happening.
Alive and well.
He's alive and well. He is in there. But yeah, it was really cool. Like it was just a really gorgeous, simple story. You know, I'm interested to see where it goes next. You know, I guess one thing, you know, I've liked a lot of Joshua Williamson's stuff. The one critique that I kind of have that kind of holds true here is sometimes I kind of like don't understand why characters are doing things other than like they're bad guys and these guys are good guys. You know, sometimes the motives aren't exactly laid out very clearly, other than like, I want to do bad stuff. Yeah. And like, I want to do good. I'm a good guy, so I'm going to stop you, you know, like, which is fine sometimes, you know, sometimes you're like, I kind of wish I knew like why this person wants to do any of this stuff instead of just like plot points getting hit forward. So hopefully like in this type of book, he can kind of stretch out a little bit, and he seems to be kind of hinting at, you know, there's obviously a backstory,
motivations,
what happened to what happened to the Rogues, that, you know, they kind of disbanded or kind of went their own ways 10 years ago. Obviously something bad happened. And so, you know, hopefully we get that in there. And it's always great. It's always great to have the Rogues, and hopefully the Flash shows up, because the Rogues without the Flash, you know, is always sort of like a little strange. It's always leaves you wanting, like the, you know, every couple of years someone tries to. Every couple of years there's always like a Rogues thing that pops up, and like anytime they try and like, anytime you have the story and the Flash isn't in it, I'm always like a little bit like, like I don't know how long you can maintain this, you know, unless you have the idea of like how the Rogues like fit into Central City in the Flash, and like that sort of relationship of like what those villains mean to like that town, and what they mean to the Flash, and like how that interacts with each other. Like, I think, you know, when you kind of separate those things out, there isn't a ton to Captain Cold, you know, like when you don't have him like as being like a foil to the Flash, you know, of like sort of the other side of like that like relationship with the city. Like,
that was a really nice subtle moment in this book, is, you know, the scene where he's taking the train to work and he sees this, you know, old mural on a building of Central City. We built this, and he goes on to have a super shitty day at his shitty job, and on the way back home he looks, and the crew that was there that morning, they were there to demolish that old mural. So it was this, you know, both like this pride in Central City and still being a part of Central City, but then this recognition that, you know, all things pass, and he's that wall. He's being
like, I'm gonna I mean, I think because
I think part of it too, I mean, the setup's such a strong sort of, you know, solid plot where it's just like, okay, we're gonna do a heist, and it's gonna be, they're gonna be out of Central City, they're gonna go to Gorilla City, and you know what I mean. So it's like,
spoilers.
They're, you know, and it's just but it's such a great, like, okay, let's do a heist film basically with the Rogues. What could they steal? What would be a great sort of, you know, and it's like they pick a perfect,
it's gonna be awesome, you know,
for those characters and everything. It's just the perfect thing. It's like, oh, why hasn't anybody ever thought of that before? It's just such a great thing. I like that it also, like, it played on the, you know, that they were older, but not to the point where it was, you know, it didn't make a big deal about it so much. You know what I mean? Like it was like, yeah, they're older and they're desperate, but it's not like, oh, they're constantly...
old, they're older, they're not elderly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that's a big difference.
Yeah, and also just like kind of teases apart the differences between all of them. Like Captain Cold wants to do this really badly. Like he's been thinking about this for a long time, and he's sort of obviously driven by a lot of anger about where he is in his life. Whereas some of the others, like Trickster is successful, just being like a David Blaine, but he can't help himself. He wants to like get involved with it, and Heatwave just likes burning stuff. So like, oh, this is a chance to burn stuff, and Mirror Master is in rehab, and so they just have to like kidnap him out of rehab.
Yeah, I love the scene where he's like, he got into a few
indiscretions.
It's like, wow, this is Black Label. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Mirror Master's been, addicted to what? He's been a coke head forever, right?
Yeah, since Grant Morrison introduced him to cocaine and Animal Man, and
Grant.
Yeah, and like, just sort of having these different characters have like these sort of like, like Captain Cold's obviously the one most desperate to like do this, right? And he sort of like dragged these others into it. Didn't have to twist their arms too hard to do it, but he's obviously the driving force. He's like, we gotta do this. So get out of his dumb factory job.
And he knows how to do it. He knows what buttons to push. You saw that with Trickster. It's like Trickster was like, yeah, I got a good thing going. And Snart knew exactly what buttons would get him, overheated about, it's, you're just a shyster and you're conning old women out of their, out of their money and
out of their retirement money.
Yeah. And your crowds are getting older every year. And
well, it's an interesting, like, if you ever look at like documentaries or stories on, like drug cartel kingpins, like these guys get to a point where they have so much money, they don't even know what to do with it, but they don't just get out. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even about the money at some point. And it's like, you don't get driven to be a supervillain just because of money. You know what I mean? Like, that's not the whole thing. Like, there's something else driving you. And then you see with Trickster, he's successful. He's doing great, but it's not enough. He has this part of him that, turned him into a supervillain to begin with. And I think you see that in the real world. Like you see, people that are con men, like, what was the guy? Madoff. Like Madoff, it's like it just kept growing and growing. And like, or even, I don't know if you guys are watching Inventing Anna, which is pretty good. But it's like, she just can't help herself. She just keeps pushing, keep pushing.
There was that news article about that couple that like ripped off a bunch of like Bitcoin, and they could have just left the country and they would have been fine. But instead they like did all this stupid shit with their money, and they couldn't help but like be like, I'm going to make rap videos. And like, they couldn't just take the money and go.
Right.
Like they were compelled to like,
it's notoriety. Like, they want notoriety. Yeah. I think that goes back to like Bonnie and Clyde or Dillinger, any it's like it's notoriety. They want to be famous, not even it's a weird thing for sure. What drives somebody to be a supervillain, for a better term. I mean, these guys are obviously, the Rogues are supervillains, but even in the real world, like I think we've seen sort of supervillains in the same sense of like something is driving them for this, insanity that they get themselves wrapped in.
How did he con Golden Glider into getting back into the game?
I forgot. It's his sister.
Oh yeah. It was just
he's just got
family guilt.
Like,
family guilt. Must be Catholic.
Snart. A Catholic? I don't know. Is that Irish? Is that?
Well, I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know what an ethnicity Snart is.
I'd imagine that's not a real. Let's see. Snart surname. We got time, right? What are we doing? What nationality is the last name Snart? Origin of Snart's name date back to the time of the Anglo-Saxon tribes of Britain. So it's it's a British name. So yeah, there you go. Family crest. Snart history.
Oh, it's got a family crest.
Yeah, it does. Snart. Oh no, that's smart. Sorry, Google changed it to Snart.
But there is Snart. Corrected.
The origin is probably from the Old Norse Viking snar, meaning one who dwells by the brushwood, or maybe a nickname, surname also of Old Norse origins from snarri, a swift runner of messenger.
Well,
so Norse, Captain Cold,
should be, Norwegian.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I love the Captain Cold slideshow where he explains that they're going to Gorilla City.
His PowerPoint, but it was a slide, like it was a slideshow, right? Like it was a legit.
Gorilla Grodd's dressed like straight up like mid-70s Grodd, like open shirt, like sort of a Jerry Buss.
Dude, I missed that. Like, I fucking missed the fact that he's literally using a slide machine to fucking do this.
Oh, and they even talk about it. It's like it's serious whenever Snart pulls out the slide machine.
And Gorilla Grodd's got like his
checkered
deep
jacket,
just deep like V shirt on, little necklace, lots of rings, like very like 70s Grodd.
70s Grodd. I love the 70s. I love that the 70s is coming back in everything. I'm a huge fan of the 70s. I know it's what we see on TV and movies is not the real 70s, or at least it's only the sort of shiny parts of the 70s. But man, there's something about that whole decade is just.
I don't know how
awesome.
Shiny like Winning Time is. I mean, it's actually very shiny.
It's pretty shiny,
really shiny, really good. Yeah. But we'll talk about Winning Time.
Yes.
Actually, in 2 weeks.
Oh, that's right. We got K. Billy.
We've got what is
Death Proof?
Yes, Death Proof this week with our buddy Will Pfeiffer, K. Billy Super Sounds, and then Sal and I will get back to ACTV here in a couple weeks.
I have a new show to talk about on ACTV.
Really?
Yeah, pretty good, pretty disturbing one.
Want to throw me a bone so I can watch it?
Yeah. No, no, not at all. It's Apple TV, Severance.
I'm 2 episodes in, and I agree. It's it kind of gives you the willies a little bit. Yeah, for sure. It gets worse as it goes on, but yeah, pretty good. All right. Enough of that though. Yeah. You can listen to that if you're a patron, you can listen to us talk about TV shows and movies. Did you see the Batman yet? Anyone see the Batman yet? No,
I haven't seen it yet. I'll wait until it's on HBO Max.
Yeah, it's like a month. You'll be able to watch it.
Yeah, that'll be my chance. I look forward to it. I've heard
it was good. Things. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was as close to comic book adaptation as any of the movies has ever been. I felt that was my opinion. All right,
that's cool. Yeah. I've only heard positive. I think people were ready to like rag on it too. So like,
they were primed and ready. Oh, they were crouching.
Yeah,
I certainly went in with a bias. I'm not a huge Patterson fan, and I certainly went in going, "This is probably going to suck," and it did not. It did not suck at all.
Is it the Twilight or the Harry Potter that you don't like?
The Twilight that just turned me off from the very beginning. The whole sparkly vampire thing, just Actually,
he's a pretty good actor.
He is a pretty good actor. Actually, I started to like him as I started to see him in other things. I'm like, oh, he's a good actor. Regardless, I mean, come on, everybody does stuff early in their career. It shouldn't define them completely, right? So yeah, no, he's excellent in this. I know there's been certain complaints about him as Bruce Wayne, but I feel that his depiction of Bruce Wayne was perfect for what they were trying to do in this movie. You know what I mean? Like that Bruce Wayne at that time, that's what he's playing, and he's doing it well. But otherwise, yeah, I thought he did a really good job.
I would have liked to have seen Pattinson as Kylo Ren. I'm not the biggest Adam Driver fan in the world. I think I would have liked to have seen him in that role.
Listen, I love Adam Driver and Robert Pattinson as both being very good.
Yeah, I'm a Driver fan. I'm a Driver
very
fan.
Compelling, like very watchable, like always like very.
And I think Driver can be more like he's good in different things. Like he can be kind of funny, he can be, you know, sort of off-putting, he can be very serious, he can be kind of nerdy, he can do a lot. He's pretty.
Is he in Home for the Holidays?
I think so.
And he played.
It's not the movie I would think of him.
It was really
from,
good.
But...
He played like the kind of like dumb younger brother. He was very good in it.
He was the best part of House of Gucci.
Okay.
Pacino Pacino was pretty good in House of Gucci too.
He's very intense.
Yes.
Like even when he's playing like sort of like a ridiculous character.
Yeah.
It's sort of like it's just interesting to watch him.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So are we all done with Rogues?
I think so. I think it was a thumbs up. I think it was a top of the stack pick.
It was super fun.
Yeah, for sure. Once again,
making them Black Label books.
Yeah, right. Yeah. They can't go wrong with Black Label books for me. Yeah. I can't get. I mean, I'm 51. Those are books for me. Everything else you can keep. I don't need all the rest of it. You make that stuff for young kids. You try and get those.
Let those artists get those big long books. You know.
Yeah, I don't need that shit. Just give me.
Speaking of, did you guys are you caught up on Human Target? New issue this week.
Yeah,
I'm not caught up yet.
We're not going to talk about it because
okay,
we can't.
Shit goes sideways. Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about it next. We'll talk about it next week.
Yeah. Greenwood continues.
Next week is we got a book.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
but we'll get it in.
Who
cares?
I don't know if the trade talk will take up.
Yeah, we can talk.
Episode.
Right, we can talk about it.
It might. It may not.
Yeah, this is true.
Who knows?
So, yeah. Because it's Star Wars. What are we talking about next week? So everyone knows.
Star
We're talking about
the Bananas.
Yes, volume 1.
There you go.
Did either of you read Ghost Cage #1?
I did. After you said that you read it, I read
it. I have no idea what this book is about.
Yeah,
in a good way or a bad way?
I don't know what way. It's Nick Dragata and Caleb Golner, and this is from Image. It's first issue. Nick Dragata. If you know East of West, is probably what I would know him from the most.
Another book that makes no fucking sense whatsoever.
Oh, I loved East of West,
but it made no sense. It made no sense.
It was easier to follow than this, but this is pretty. It's black and white, which, as I was getting into it, I thought was an interesting choice, especially because it's an Image book, and they know that black and white books traditionally don't sell as well as colored books, but
it was very manga influenced. I mean, black and white, just the whole look of it, the story, it felt very much like I was reading a Japanese comic.
Character designs,
yeah.
I
didn't hate it. I just didn't really understand what the fuck it was about. I mean, it was interesting. It was weird. It looked really pretty. But it was hard to kind of, capture my attention to some degree because it's like I don't know who I'm supposed to root for. I don't know
not my style of story that I normally, it's like this is completely like off the hinges. Weirdness. It's but I didn't dislike it. I don't know. I have an I don't know opinion about this book.
It's a rousing review for Ghost.
It's a book.
It's a book.
For a first issue, it makes me want to at least check out the second issue to see. Yeah, it's I don't even know how to give. I'm not even going to give a plot layout of this book. It's hard to describe. So anyway, so I'm glad you read it and had a similar opinion.
Yeah, I didn't quite. Like I said, I didn't hate it. It looked so pretty and it was very interesting visually, and very odd. It's a strange book, but it was one of those words like I'm not quite into it because it's just not like grabbing me. It's not like, I'm not. Yeah. Maybe I'm just too dumb.
Did you notice the holographic character? I do feel like, Dragota, or is it Dragoda? I don't know. Dragota. I feel like he's been hanging around Hickman, a lot.
Yeah.
But did you notice like the holographic character looks like one of the characters from East of West? The ruler of Texas or whatever it was.
Right. Yeah, kind of. I mean, it has the whole feel of it a little bit. Is a little East to West, although the one character looks so much like Daphne from Scooby-Doo.
Right.
Every time I saw her, I was like, that's weird. And she was just kind of a weird character. There was the whole fucking book is just weird. I don't like it's talking about some. I feel here's the problem. It's not just weird, but it's also it feels like it's talking about something. Like there's energy, like there's oil and coal energy involved to some degree.
Is this just going to be some weird like 3-issue series that at the end it's going to say global warming is real?
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I mean. Like it seems like it has some sort of message. I just don't know what the fucking message is. I have no idea what the message really is, and it has like a Pikachu kind of character.
I look forward to Tom reading this.
Yeah, I'm gonna read it because you guys are selling me on.
Can
you decipher? Can you decipher this for us, Tom?
It's not really this like it or not. It's a challenge. Yeah, it's like Wordle.
What is this?
What is this book?
All right, I'll read it. I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna explain it to you guys, or I'm gonna be like, I don't know what this is about either.
Either way is fine.
Either way,
one way or the other. I think I might be happier if you don't know what it's about.
Yeah, I know one that we had a much easier time understanding. Actually, Sal talked about it last week. And I think
I don't get a book. I don't get a pick here.
You do, but I wanted
son of a bitch.
Credit you with the we got time. We got time for your book.
All right.
The wreck, and this is one of your picks from last week. Reckoning War, the trial of the Watcher.
Uatu.
Yeah.
Uatu.
You're right. It was really good, man.
Yeah, well, I really got into what the artist Javier Rodriguez. That's the artist name.
Mm.
He did like a giant, weird Marvel book last year that I bought. It was almost like a magazine size, but it was really thick, and it was just I don't even know what it was about. It was like gold, like Silver Age Marvel kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the art was so awesome in it, and that's what attracted me to this book. But it was it's a fun story.
Yeah, I love his art. It's fun. It's what it. I don't want to say it has a Marvel style, but it works really well with Silver Age Marvel characters.
It conveys the fun of those characters in that time, maybe more than they were even fun.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like it gives you the perfect nostalgia boost of like, these characters, this time in Marvel was so it's the perfect like illustration of Stan Lee's hype of what Marvel was in that time period.
And also the book itself is just such a fun twist on a what if.
Yeah,
of like. Yeah, it's like
I love the older.
The what if is always like shit's never better. It's always worse. Right? Like this is the twist on that. The what if the Watcher never wanted to tell which I think is a really clever way of going about it. Because, and any classic what if, it's never like, oh, actually things were better. Like, yeah, it's good. It's always like, no, the world ended because Wolverine didn't get his advantage. It's just
when Stacy lived and everyone else died.
Yeah, it's like it's never like, it was like.
Well, I love that Uatu's dad, and I forget his name, but he was just like, you and your what ifs. All right, sit down, son. I'm gonna show you a what if.
Yeah, it's just the whole thing is just fun. From the concept to the execution of it, and just the idea of watching the Fantastic Four, I mean, it is kind of interesting. You think about it, it's like that was such a pivotal time in the Fantastic Four's history, right? Like, I think if you went back and talked to, 60, 70-year-old Fantastic Four fans, like that was one of those stories in the Fantastic Four that sort of cemented them in the Marvel universe and comic book history and all those things. And it's like, yeah, but they got bailed out by the fucking Watcher. Like, it wasn't, it's not like they came up with it themselves. And, it's like, could they have though? And so,
oh yeah, the Watcher, I can't get involved. I can never get involved. I just show up like constantly all the time. No, I can't possibly do anything about this.
Yeah, that character is so ridiculous because it is just, he's never, but the only time you see him is him getting involved. It's like you don't even exist unless you're doing
he
the
gets
thing.
involved as much as Star Trek breaks the Prime Directive.
Exactly.
We can never break it. They break it 3 times a season.
Can't get involved. Obviously, I'm the Watcher, but if I can give you a ride someplace.
So do we think the fan theory about Stan Lee in the Marvel Universe, MCU, being a Watcher, is that sort of
what
that's the fan theory that Stan, why he played all those characters in the different MCU movies is he is a Watcher.
I think that's a really fun way to retcon in the gag that Stan was in.
Wait until they come out with a Watcher movie and they use CGI Stan Lee, and they're gonna just deep fake him into
it's. I tell you what.
Oh no, I can't help you. I can only watch. Yeah. Let me help you.
It makes you watch the end of the Guardians of the Galaxy extra clip a little differently because that's the outer space Stan Lee.
Yeah, well, I think that kind of
I'm going to start watching those all through the lens of him being the Watcher.
I'm a Watcher. I watch.
I like to watch.
He showed up. It
was the 60s. I like to watch.
He was a character in the Spider-Man, the video game, the PS4 game. He was like
he was in Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
Excelsior.
Yeah.
I'm everywhere, even dead.
When do you think CGI Stan Lee is going to make his first appearance in a Marvel?
Oh God!
It's going to happen.
Do you think
whatever the next movie is?
The only reason I would say
legal reasons. Well, I think there's a lot of
no, but I think
stuff.
Stan would actually fucking love it. You know what I mean? Like,
it'd be great. He would the ultimate.
Oh, this is terrific.
Barker.
I'm back. I love it.
I look like I did in the 70s.
Hey.
Funky. Of course, Funky Flashman would like it.
I just want maybe an homage that there's somewhere in a house or something the picture of Stan Lee naked except for the pillow on the couch in LA. Have you seen that one?
Oh, Stan. It was wild time back then, kids. We can't always keep our clothes on. Me and what was her name?
Hello, fellow teenagers.
Hello, fellow teenagers. I'm Stan Lee, and I'm back from the dead. Not a zombie. No, I'm CGI. What is it? CGI?
Deep fake.
Deep.
Oh God,
It's
the
me.
the deep fake Stanley.
They're gonna do like they did with Peter Cushing in
Star
Rogue
Wars.
One.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Carrie Fisher.
What was
Yeah,
the
it
one?
always looks a little weird.
The one that I saw recently was pretty good. What did I see? Shit. There was one I saw pretty recently. It was Atom Project. Did anybody see that?
I have
No, I haven't
not.
seen
I
it.
was
pretty
waiting
good.
for your thumbs up or thumbs down.
It's pretty
it looks
fun.
Like
I
it
mean,
could be good or terrible.
It's a very Spielbergian sort of movie. It's very nostalgic. It was fun, and Ryan Reynolds is always good. But I don't know the actress's name. She's been around for quite a while, and she is kind of the villain in the film. But they show her younger version. And having seen her as a younger actress, having seen her in stuff, it was pretty good. Like it looked as good as any that I've seen of
It'll
someone.
only get better and better.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, 30 years ago, what they did with Peter Cushing and Carrie Fisher today, no one would have fucking believed that.
No. Now you got people on. Well, I know that like for the Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett, when they had Luke, it was they hired the kid who like on Instagram fixed the original Luke.
Yeah.
Himself. They hired him to fucking do the deep fake. And then they just got an actor that kind of looked like Mark Hamill. And it worked better because it's like, that's the problem.
Yeah, but then they did the weird thing with the voice though, where they did an AI thing where they had Mark Hamill, which I was like,
I don't quite understand. Why can't you just like level out his voice so he doesn't sound young? So he sounds a little younger.
Crazy idea.
Just let it be.
Hire a different actor to play.
Yeah.
I have another idea, and it's why I love comics so much. And now we get into this problem with franchises in TV and movies that go on for decades. In comics, Peter Parker can be early 20s ish for 60, 70 years. But in real life, I mean, now we're with Star Wars, it's a big enough universe. You don't have to have those core characters anymore.
Luke Skywalker is Macbeth. You just anyone can play him.
Right. It's a mantle.
Anyone can play Peter Parker.
At this point, move on. Just move on. I don't need to.
Well, as long as the fans are, you better not replace me, you bastards.
A new younger Stan.
Stan lives forever.
Yeah. A cloned tiny baby Stan Lee with like a mustache. Stan Lee
But it
Jr.
would be like MODOK. It would be a huge Stan head with little arms and legs.
I think if anyone deserves to be cloned, it's Stan. I think that would make perfect sense in our society.
Yeah,
that Stan would be.
Unfortunately, you're right.
The Fantastic Four on Molly. That's what happens in this one.
All right, this is what we're gonna do, Jack. Do they bring Jack back? Do they clone Jack?
Well,
little tiny
you're not
Jack.
be successful without him.
How dare you?
Paste Pot Pete is an influencer.
Listen,
and he's like, make slime. Now he just uses his glue to make slime on TikTok.
Is that what the kids are using these days?
Stan would have been insufferable in this age. There are a lot of Stans. You just don't.
I don't know. I always love Stanley.
Sure.
He's Jerry Buss. He's fucking. You know what I mean? Like he's those guys.
Yeah, he's the guy you really want him to be your uncle.
Yeah, absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
Best uncle ever. All right. You got a book?
I do. I have a series. It's like 6 books, honestly. Well, I haven't really talked about this in a while, but I kind of want to talk about the whole thing, kind of briefly. But it's Ahoy Comics. It's a book called My Bad, and I think it's 6 issues. I've read all 6 at this point. And it's kind of an anthology to a certain degree, although it deals with the same set of superhero / supervillains throughout all 6 issues, but it sort of breaks it into smaller chunks. You know, then the stories all relate to one another, but like one story is about the Chandelier, who's kind of this Batman character, although it's a guy who owns a lighting company, and he runs around with a chandelier on his head at night. He's a billionaire. And it's a bunch of different creators in each issue, or not in each issue, but each story is kind of different creators. So you have Mark Russell is in it. Bryce Ingram writes some. Peter Krause draws some of it. So you have different people working on the different stories, and it's sort of this very satirical. I mean, it's Mark Russell, so it's satire. He does satire as well as anybody in comics. And it's essentially, it's mostly these 2 characters. It's the Chandelier, and then his nemesis, who is the Emperor King. But you really have a hard time distinguishing between the 2 as far as who's worse. They're both fucking terrible, and they're both. Yeah. I mean, this is sort of very satiric and you know, biased. Like, this is for your cranky superhero comic book fans. You know what I mean? Yeah. This is like for those moments when you just want to kind of hate Batman and hate, you know, superhero comics and make fun of them. That's what this comic is kind of about. Although it's not too bad to the, you know, to the point of, like, you know, it's all tongue in cheek to a certain degree. So it's having fun with it, but it is poking fun at a lot of the tropes, but in a really clever, funny way. And it goes in weird places. Like at one point, like one character gets trapped in a very Silver Agey sort of supervillain trap that he set for a different superhero, and then, even though he ends up like torturing the guy with this trap, they end up becoming friends and roommates, and there's all these sort of weird sort of things that happen in it. But it's just kind of a fun. It reminds me a little bit of like, you know, like how Mike Allred has kind of created his own superhero universes, or a little bit of like Veitch, you know, to some degree. Where it's just sort of looking at superhero comic book universes and creating one that kind of makes fun of the whole thing, but it's really well done. And I don't even, you know, Ahoy Comics, I don't even know who the hell they are, but they put out some stuff that I've really enjoyed over the last couple of years.
They did Wrong Earth too, right?
Yeah. That's the other one.
Yeah, I love Wrong Earth.
Yeah, and it's just like this universe of interconnected weirdo superheroes and supervillains that are really just all shitty, kind of not shitty to the point of like
The Boys.
It reminds me of the Tip.
Yeah, it's not too. Yeah, it's more just like they're just crappy. They're just sort of crappy people. They're not like awful, horrible. They're just kind of dumb and crappy supervillains and superheroes that are fighting amongst themselves while everybody else sort of ignores them to a certain degree, although they think that everyone's paying attention to them.
Sounds like that's how it would be pretty true to life.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's and you can see a lot of sort of it poking fun at real life too, and, you know, social media and that kind of thing. But there's even great, like the first issue has some terrific black and white comic, you know, classic comic book ads like X-ray specs and that kind of stuff, but they're redone and funny and satirical and just like really good stuff. And so there's every issue has sort of some of that stuff in it, not just the stories, but also, you know, other things from you know, 60s and 70s comics that it kind of is poking fun at a little bit. Cool. Yeah, it's really fun and really good stuff.
I'll see if that's available on Hoopla.
I don't know if it was 6 issues, so I don't know if it's collected yet. Yeah. But yeah. Okay. Nice. But I think Ahoy sent us previews of all of these. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They send us previews usually.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
So Ahoy Comics, man. There's some good, like, secondary publishers out there that are putting out some fun books for sure.
Yeah.
AWA and
Awesome
Ahoy
stuff,
and
yeah.
It's nice to see.
Wrong Earth is. I always enjoyed Wrong Earth. I think I've fallen behind on sort of all the spin-off ones of it, but that's the thing I remember Ahoy for.
Yeah,
probably the most. But like, I'm definitely going to check this out.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's you know, it's just a nice break sometimes from all the, you know, the monolith that is Marvel and DC to some degree, you know. It's like,
sure.
hey, somebody's fucking, you know, just poking fun at this shit, kind of poking the bear, you know, which you don't get that so much anymore. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get that in comics. Yeah. It's a little, I don't know, comics are a little serious sometimes. Like Marvel and DC, it's like a little, they take themselves a little too serious sometimes.
And, well, that's why I like that they'll make books like Jimmy Olsen or, you know, Lone Star Squadron. You know, you need those books. I mean, does Marvel put out any, like, you know, no prize or anything like that anymore?
I don't think so. I don't know. Not that I know of. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the last thing Marvel did that was sort of.
Every few years, there's a Howard the Duck series that'll try and get ramped up that, you know, has kind of a comic twist.
They need Stan back. They don't have Stan anymore. Now it's just all a bunch of corporate assholes. Well, you know, it is what it is. Comics have become IPs. You know, we got to protect the IPs. We can't.
There's a lot of fun comics out there.
There are. I know. I'm just being a little
cranky
angry,
old man.
Cranky old man.
Arr, arr.
Yeah, it was. You know, it's weird. So I went to I did go to the library, the physical library, yesterday, and went to the graphic novel section, and it's a little like me looking at the lineup for Lollapalooza now.
Yeah, what's popular?
Yeah, well, right.
What are the kids reading?
It's like, oh, out of the 50 bands at Lollapalooza, I knew 9, you know, and felt like I was doing great. Yeah, I went to the library and looked at the graphic novel section, and it was like, wow, there's been a lot of stuff that's come out in the last few years that I have been completely off my radar. It's good, but then at the same time, I'll take a look at it and be like, yep, not for me.
It's not for me, sir. I will turn away and find something in the long boxes.
Where is the Watcher?
Well, it's like
I need a fill-in issue.
You know, it's black right now. It's like Black Label Comics, right? It's
yeah, man. Well, that's why I yelled at Seeley when he was complaining about old, you know, characters getting old. I'm like, don't fucking take away my old man comic books. That's you know, it's like I don't want, you know. I said this about somebody was my niece and nephew were talking about the show Euphoria, which is apparently all the rage, and I haven't watched it. And I'm like,
Zendaya.
Yeah, and I'm like, listen, if I want to watch young people making bad decisions, I'll just pay more attention to my kids. I don't really need to watch a fucking TV show about that kind of thing. Like I live with it every day, you know.
I'll be watching Winning Time.
Yeah, exactly. I want to watch something from the 70s when I was a kid.
Yeah, when I was young, when things were good.
I don't want to watch young people today. Fuck them. I want to watch young people.
Make
I want to watch old people when I was young.
All right, guys, are we good? Have we got anything else tonight?
I don't. You guys looking forward to Moon Knight, the TV show?
Is that a week from?
I think it's soon.
Today?
I think it might be.
So next Thursday, right?
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'll probably watch it if I hear it's good. I'm not like waiting with bated breath for. It'll be another first issue of Moon Knight that I read and then forget to get the next one.
It's March 30th.
Okay. Yes, I'm looking forward to watching that. I saw shit. What was it? There was a comic that I saw advertised today that I was actually excited about. I can't remember. I'll have to go back and look. But I was like, oh, no, it's the White Knight. It's the next in the
I did see that.
White Knight.
Something like that.
They're gonna bring Batman Beyond into Sean Murphy's Batman world.
I don't think that's gonna go well. That's not gonna that seems like
fuck it. I'll read it, man. It's gonna look beautiful.
No, I'm just saying, like, I think, it's a perfect setup of like, oh, you have this young Batman and Sean White's. That's not Sean White.
Sean Murphy.
Sean Murphy's Batman is sort of, kind of a tyrannical maniac of a Batman. It's like, how's he gonna deal with this young kind of I don't know. I think it'll be fun. It'll be good.
Yeah,
it'll be fun.
That's the first coming soon thing that I've seen where it's like, oh fuck yeah, I'll read that. Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
coming soon.
Arriving soon.
All right, guys. Once again, if you want to reach out to the show, you can do so. info@aroundcomics.com. We have a listener email.
No, I don't have a listener email, but I do have to say hello to our latest patron.
Oh, awesome.
Gilbert is our latest patron. So thank you, Gilbert, for being a patron and subscribing to our Patreon page. We very much appreciate it.
Thank you, Gilbert.
Thank you, Gilbert. Hopefully I'll have more stuff I can put. I have not had time. I've not had any time lately. Put things out.
You, man.
I wish I did. If we had like 3,000 subscribers to our Patreon, we could just quit our jobs and do this full time. Yeah, we could just do this. We could put out a ton of content.
Yeah. I tell you what, so you send in listener emails. I will answer them. I'll answer your questions as a Patreon special.
What? What is that? We answer their fucking. You're
answering.
You're the worst. You're just terrible.
I don't know. No one ever wants to be interviewed anymore, so I gotta get a new bit.
Can't get anybody to come on the show.
Their own subreddits and shit.
Yeah, well,
I gotta listen to. I don't have to play by Chris's rules,
right? I don't have to deal with that asshole. I can do my own. I can be my own asshole.
Yeah, exactly. So that's all we got. We're good.
I'm good. Joe Galusic wants to know regular Moon Knight, crazy Moon Knight, Egyptian Moon Knight. What's regular Moon Knight?
Regular Moon Knight,
unleaded Moon Knight
is just when he just had three, not personas, he had three different alter egos.
What's Bill Sienkiewicz Moon Knight?
That's regular.
That's what I like.
That's regular Moon Knight, and then they brought in that it wasn't different alter egos; they were actually a fractured personality, and that's when they started getting into
crazy Moon
Knight,
and then he became the Fist of Khonshu or whatever, right?
Yeah,
and that's Egyptian Moon Knight.
Yeah, so I go. I always kind of liked regular Moon Knight. I like that idea of the character.
Yeah. And that I don't even remember it. I don't know.
Because he was like a mercenary, a cab driver, and a businessman.
So he had like split
he was Bruce
personalities,
Wayne. He was Bruce Wayne, he was a cab driver, and he was a mercenary. Were his different alter egos and Moon Knight.
Yeah, it's a little weird. I guess it's
who is
hard
the real Mark Spector?
Yeah. Now he's the Fist of Khonshu, which sounds like a sex toy to some degree.
Yeah.
Hey, honey, ready for the Fist of Khonshu tonight?
I do like the new Moon Knight series, the comic series. It's not great. It's not going to win any Eisners or anything, but it's fun.
Yeah. No, I like it too. Is winning an Eisner, is that sort of your gauge of whether a comic book is worth a shit, or is good or not? I don't know that I've read anything that's won an Eisner in 10 years.
Oh, sure you have.
I don't know. I mean, one like
stuff like, did at any time, I don't know, Tom
best,
King stuff, best
probably.
series. What
you know what I mean, though. There's a lot of shit on the Eisners that are
absolutely.
just like,
but I mean, and
pretentious
what I mean.
bullshit.
Yeah. I don't know if we're going to be talking about this Moon Knight run, 15 years from now. It's like, oh, remember that great run of Moon Knight?
We're going to be talking about any comic books 15 years from now. We're going to be,
I hope not.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope we're not still doing this 15. I'm hoping I'm retired, living somewhere warm, and
I hope we are still talking about comics 15 years from now.
I don't know, man.
At least I'll be alive. So yeah. All right. Let's wrap this one up.
Okay.
We've got K-Billy Super Sounds coming out this week.
I gotta watch a movie.
Yep. Then we're back onto the ACTV. That's on the Patreon feed. Once again, thank you for all the patrons, especially you, Gilbert.
Gilbert.
Yes,
Gilbert. We will be back next Thursday, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time.
Maybe
for another, or 8 to 10 minutes after that.
Guarantees.
For another action-packed episode.
We're going to talk about Star Wars Bounty Hunters.
Yes, Trade Talk.
Yeah. Trade Talk next week. I got to read that too.
You got a lot of homework.
I do.
Oh boy! Really set yourself up for.
Boy.
Oh boy!
Yeah. Why do I do this?
Right. In the meantime,
in between time,
we will be everywhere. In
and around comics, and Stan will be here forever.